It's finally here. The Switch 2 has been announced. It's hype, like actual hype. We got Metroid Prime 4, a brand new Donkey Kong platformer, Kirby freaking Air Riders, Mario Kart Worlds, and hell, an exclusive Souls-like called Duskblood, which looks like a spiritual successor to Bloodborne. This showcase was one of the craziest, most stacked Nintendo Directs we've ever seen. I was insanely I'm so hyped for this. Like, what's gonna ruin this hype? Nothing's gonna ruin this hype for me.
Our way down here in this mine. DK is no stranger to mines, of course, but it's nice to see him doing it a little bit more full-time. Oh yeah, you can also pick up
My hype is f***ing ruined. Nintendo pulled a classic Nintendo. They probably had one of the most exciting directs in recent memory. And then it gets overshadowed, no, completely destroyed by the absurd price hike on literally everything. Console, more expensive. Games, way more expensive. Accessories, you bet your ass they're more expensive. They left out pricing for a reason. They knew this would piss people off. They waited till the excitement wore off to pull the rug out from under us, and now everyone's furious, and I'm like right there with them. I'm outraged. And if you're not, maybe you got some cash to burn, but I don't. I know a lot of people don't have this kind of money to burn. For the longest time, Nintendo was the affordable gaming option. That was their whole thing. $299 console, $60 games. Yeah, they rarely went on sale, but the entry cost was reasonable. It was the budget-friendly console. You didn't need a 4K TV, didn't need to spend $70 per title all the time. It was plug-and-play joy at the price that made sense. Well, not anymore. Now, the Switch 2 is shaping up to be one of the most expensive consoles on the damn market. It's more than a PlayStation 5, a base PS5, more than an Xbox Series X. Hell, it's even more than a Steam Deck in some cases. And the kicker, the games are insanely overpriced. We already had to swallow the bitter pill of games being $70 and that becoming the new standard. That sucked, but we adjusted. Now Nintendo wants to push it to $80 for some games. Yeah, 8-0. And if that wasn't enough of a kick in the balls, they're adding an extra $10 if you want a physical version. That's right, $90 for a game. If you want to hold the damn thing in your hands. And for some of the physical games, apparently, they don't even have full games on the cartridge. You're buying a glorified digital code in a plastic case. I'm sorry, what the actual... I made a video not too long ago, like an actual fully edited passionate video titled something like Why We Need the Switch 2. I went on a whole rant about how Nintendo releasing a follow-up to the Switch could be a great thing for the industry. I talked about how we need a cheaper alternative in the market, where consoles are getting more expensive and less consumer-friendly. I said competition would be healthy. I even gave Nintendo the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, I did that. Want to know how that video aged? Like milk, left out, in the sun, during a heat wave, next to a radiator. Seriously, that video was delusional. I was delusional. That guy in that video, an idiot. Me, I was the idiot. I bought into the idea that Nintendo might actually understand their position, that they might keep things accessible, fun, you know, not $80 per game. I said we needed the Switch too. Nah, turns out what we needed was to be slapped in the face by Nintendo's pricing team and told, this ain't for you anymore unless you got money to burn. So yeah, congrats me, you played yourself, and you helped hype up a product that's now trying to rob everyone blind. Let's talk about the Switch 2 itself. It's gonna be $450 at launch, maybe even more depending on where you live. Now, I expected a price bump. Sure, it's got a 1080p 120Hz LCD display, better hardware, significantly more power than the original Switch, so fine. We all knew it wouldn't be a $300 console, but that still doesn't justify the game prices, the accessory prices, and the fact that this budget console is now creeping into PS5 level territory. Let's say you want to Switch 2 with Mario Kart Worlds. Cool, that's $500 for the bundle. Say you want to play online. Nintendo Switch Online is still $20 to $60 depending on your plan. So now we're at $560. You got a family, want to play multiplayer? Better grab a set of Joy-Cons or a Pro Controller. Boom, another $80 to $90. That's $640 minimum. You want Donkey Kong or do you want Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Enhanced on top of that? You're already over $700. That's not including tax, not including tariffs, not including storage expansions, if the base 256 gigabytes isn't enough, which it really never is. Nintendo used to be this family-friendly console in every sense. Now it's becoming the luxury item. And for what? What exactly are we paying more for? An open world Mario Kart? Don't get me wrong, it sounds sick, but is that $80 of innovation? Nah. An open world racing games have existed for decades. Forza Horizon has been doing it better for years, and guess what? Game Pass gives you access to for peanuts. Nintendo's acting like it just discovered the wheel because it finally joined the open world party 10 years too late. That's not innovation, that's catching up. And even then, why should we be paying for Nintendo to finally deliver features other platforms had forever? Voice chat? Better online infrastructure? They want a cookie for finally doing the bare minimum? This whole thing is a slap in the face to the fans who stuck with Nintendo, people who bought the Wii U, people who supported the Switch at launch, people who defended Nintendo's old school charm when it was clear that they were behind the times. We stuck by them, and now they want to upcharge us at every step? And let's not ignore the competition. Nintendo is acting like it doesn't have competition in the handheld space. But wake the hell up. 2025 is not 2017. The Steam Deck exists. The Asus ROG Ally exists. The Lenovo Legion Go exists. And the new Xbox is reportedly about to launch its own handheld that runs Steam. They're killing physical media too. Nintendo was one of the last holdouts when it came to physical media. You could still walk into a store and buy a cartridge, own your games, lend them to a friend, build a collection, and now they're actively sabotaging that too. $10 surcharge for physical? Less and less content on the actual carts? What's the point? Physical media already took a hit with Sony pushing digital, Microsoft going full cloud, and PC basically abandoning disc altogether. But Nintendo used to feel like that last safe place. Not anymore. They're nickel and diming you just to own your games. And if you're in the EU, Australia, or even the US, with tariffs coming into play, physical games are going to cost even more. Speaking of tariffs, let's talk about the orange elephant in the room. Yeah, that one. Tariffs. That stupid orange goblin is single-handedly inflating the cost of everything with these idiotic trade policies. Nintendo had to halt Switch 2 pre-orders in the US because of looming tariffs. And here's the kicker. The $450 price point wasn't because of tariffs. Nope. That was their base price. Now with tariffs, you're looking at $600 plus for the same system, and that's without games included. How can working families afford this? People are already living paycheck to paycheck, groceries are expensive, rent is rising, wages are stagnant, and now Nintendo wants to charge premium prices like they're Apple? Get real. And this is not just a Nintendo problem, it's an industry problem. Here's the scariest part. If Nintendo can get away with this, charging $80 for a game, tacking on $10 for a physical, raising hardware prices through the roof, what's to stop the rest of the industry from doing the same? Ubisoft, EA, Activision, you think they won't follow? You think they're gonna look at Nintendo pulling in record profits from these greedy price hikes and go, nah, we're good? This sets a terrifying precedent. This isn't just about Nintendo, it's about what happens next, because once that $80 price becomes normalized, it's over, and consumers will just have to eat it. Also, piracy is going to skyrocket. If Nintendo thought they had a piracy problem before, oh buddy, just wait when you price people out of your ecosystem. They find alternatives. And I'm not condoning piracy, but I am saying it's an accessibility issue. Most people don't pirate games because they want to. They do it because they have to. Because an $80 game is just not feasible in certain countries. Hell, even in the US, an $80 game is a tough sell for a lot of folks. And with recession coming down the pipeline, thanks again, you orange prick, this is just going to get worse. And who do you think gets hit with the hardest? Working class families, kids who save up their allowances, parents trying to give their kids something fun for the holidays. These are the people getting priced out. Nintendo used to be the go-to option for those people. Now it's the luxury brand for people with disposable income. Everyone else, well, time to sail the high seas if you catch my drift. This is not the same Nintendo anymore. There used to be a time where Nintendo had this aura. They felt like they were with us. They were weird, yeah, but it was a charming weird. They didn't care about chasing Sony or Microsoft. They did their own thing. They were the fun uncle of the gaming world. Maybe not as powerful, maybe not as online focused, but damn it, they were fun. You can count on them for a good time. Something different, something with heart. Now Nintendo feels like this greedy, out-of-touch CEO uncle who brings up NFTs at Thanksgiving dinner. They've got the cockiness of Sony, the closed ecosystem of Apple, and the monetization greed of EA. That's the new holy trinity of disaster. They become exactly what they used to not be. The Switch 2's pricing doesn't just represent a number, it represents a shift in philosophy. Nintendo's no longer trying to be everyone's console. They want whales. They want loyalists. They want people who will line up at midnight for the collector's edition of Zelda Enhanced, even if it costs $120 and comes with a sticker. They're banking on brand loyalty, and it's honestly disgusting how confident they are that people will just take it. Let's talk about games again. Now that I've cooled off, no, wait, I haven't. Let's go back to talking about this $80 nonsense, because it's not even like the $80 games are justified with significantly more content or innovation. Take Metroid Prime 4. Sure, it looks incredible. It's a flagship game, but it's also the same franchise they abandoned for over a decade. You want people to pay more for something you neglected? Come on. Or Mario Kart. Goddamn Mario Kart. Sure, it's got some open world elements, but don't tell me that game costs more to make than Elden Ring. Do not sit there with a straight face and tell me that Mario Kart costs more to develop than Baldur's Gate 3 or Spider-Man 2 or Final Fantasy 16. Get out of here. And they're pushing $80 for that? This isn't about recouping costs. This is about seeing what they can get away with. Testing the waters. How far can we push the loyal fans before they break? Spoiler alert, they're gonna break, or worse, they're gonna walk. The accessory pricing is a bit exalting. Let's not forget the accessories. Nintendo hasn't officially announced all the prices yet, but based on recent trends and all the listing from retailers in regions where pre-orders briefly went live, we're looking at Joy-Cons priced around $80 to $90, Pro Controllers hovering near $80, and charging grips and plastic straps priced higher than they were for the original Switch. And keep in mind, Nintendo still hasn't publicly acknowledged or committed to fixing the infamous Joy-Con drift issue. If this continues with the Switch 2 hardware, and early teardown reports suggest the analog sticks are similar to before, then we're staring down the barrel of paying more for hardware that may still have design flaws from 7 years ago. Let's talk about backwards compatibility. Nintendo has confirmed that the Switch 2 will support backwards compatibility with original Switch games. That includes digital titles tied to your Nintendo account, and according to multiple reports, most physical cartridges will also be compatible. That's good news, but it comes with strings attached. Not every game is guaranteed to run the same. Some titles may have restrictions or require updates to function properly on the new hardware. And while your library mostly carries over, Nintendo is preparing enhanced editions or versions of selected titles to take advantage of the Switch 2's improved performance. Here's the kicker. Not all of these enhanced versions will be free. Nintendo is charging $10 to $20 to upgrade certain games, even if you already own them. So while you're not being forced to rebuy everything at full price, you're still paying again for content you already own, just to unlock performance bumps or new features. In typical Nintendo fashion, it's a win with conditions. Backwards compatibility is here, sure, but it's not a seamless pro-consumer experience it should be. It's a carefully monetized system designed to make sure you keep spending even more on your own library. Okay, me from the future, a lot of information has come out. I've been editing this video for far too long, but it seems like the Switch 2 is going to be using emulation, so that's how they're going to be doing backwards compatibility. And also, that $90 price tag for physical games was just a rumor. It is not $90 for physical games, but with tariffs, it might cost $90 anyway. All right, back to the video. Let's talk about some of the good, I guess. Nintendo finally showed off new online features during their recent Direct. Voice chat is officially coming, built right into the Switch 2. No more relying on that embarrassing mobile app workaround. They even tease video calls and game streaming, which sounds like a major step forward. But let's not pretend this is revolutionary. It's just Nintendo playing catch-up. Xbox and PlayStation have had this functionality for over a decade. And now in 2025, Nintendo acts like it's some big next-gen innovation. Even with these additions, the core problems remain. Nintendo's online infrastructure is still questionable at best. Smash Ultimate, still laggy. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, barely functional in co-op. Splatoon 3, you're lucky if it doesn't drop you mid-match. There's been no words on dedicated servers, no proof the underlying netcode has improved, and no clear plans to modernize matchmaking. Just a few features slapped on top of the same old busted system. And you're still paying $50 a year for a Nintendo Switch Online pack. So what exactly are you getting? Retro games? Sure, but you can't even buy them. Want to legally purchase Super Mario 64 or Majora's Mask from the N64 catalog? Too bad, they're locked behind a rental-style subscription. If the service goes down or you cancel, so do your games. And this is Nintendo we're talking about. They'll happily shut it all down if it's not profitable anymore and act like it's your fault. Yes, we finally got GameCube games on the Switch too. That's a win. But again, this should have happened years ago. Meanwhile, the expansion pack still doesn't offer ownership or a la carte purchases for any of the N64, Genesis, or Game Boy Advance titles. But it's Nintendo. They can do that. Stop it. This excuse needs to go extinct. This mindset is why they sold us Mario 3D All-Stars, one of the laziest ports I've ever seen, then pulled off the shelves like it was a Disney Vault exclusive, and charged $25 for a Mario Kart booster tracks that mostly reused old mobile game assets. Nintendo adding things like voice chat and GameCube support in 2025 isn't forward-thinking, it's playing catch-up. Unless the core online experience actually improves, it's still the same overpriced, underperforming service, just dressed up with some nostalgia and a new coat of paint. Also, if you really love Nintendo, like really love them, you should be furious, because love without criticism is just blind loyalty. If your best friend started scamming people, you wouldn't just say, that's just what they do. You sit them down and call them out. This isn't hating on Nintendo, this is holding them accountable, because if we don't push back now, things will only get worse. We'll be paying $100 for games, $150 for a collector's edition with a damn poster, subscription fees for basic features, ads in the eShop probably, loot boxes in Smash Bros. You think that's far-fetched? So did $80 base prices. So did online subscription, so did digital-only consoles. We let this happen, but it's not too late to push back. So what can you do? Vote with your wallet, skip day one, buy used, share games with friends, call out anti-consumer behavior, even if it comes from a company you like. Don't defend this nonsense just because it's wrapped in nostalgia and fan service. That's how you end up spending $600 just to play Mario Kart in 2025. Nintendo needs to be reminded who put them on top. We did. And if they keep acting like this, we can knock them off again. Gaming should be a joyful, accessible, inclusive, not a luxury, not a chore, and not a subscription-based hellscape run by greedy executives in yellow hats. The Switch 2 could have been a triumphant return. Instead, it's a reminder that Nintendo will always choose profit over people if we let them. So don't let them.